Hey guys, welcome back to Ace Recaps. Today I'm going to be explaining a 2013 Hindi fantasy horror film titled, Ek Thi Dayan. Bobo is the country's leading magician. He performs an act every weekend at the local theater and the crowd seems to love his show. His girlfriend Tamara is also his manager, but she is unaware of the mental trauma that's threatening Bobo's very sanity. During one of his performances, Bobo has a panic attack, which causes one of the performers to have massive burn injuries. On the drive back home, we are introduced to Bobo's adopted son, Zubin, who loves and looks up to his father. Bobo decides to take a break from his performance until his mental issues are sorted and he agrees to visit a psychiatrist soon after. That evening Bobo starts having visions again, and is drawn to his old apartment. There he finds a treasure chest in one of the rooms, only to find his little sister Misha dead inside with a lizard crawling over her body. Tamara manages to track him down, but on opening the chest she only finds Misha's old doll inside. This hallucination happens to be too much for Bobo to handle, so he visits his friend Dr. Pallet the very next day. Even with all the mental issues that he faces, his girlfriend still loves him very much and intends to marry him one day. She is his last drop of hope that helps him hold on to his sanity. The next morning, Bobo pays a visit to his doctor who decides to put him under regression hypnosis to find out what really happened with his little sister that caused him to shut out his entire childhood. The movie then takes us back to the past when Bobo was 11 and Misha was just 6 years old. Bobo and Misha lost their mother at a young age and live with their father who adores his little kids. Bobo has been into magic and the supernatural ever since he was a little boy. He got a hold of a mystic book at a backyard sale, which read that if he presses the number 6 3 times in an elevator, it would take him straight to the gates of hell. The mischievous kid along with his little sister decide to give it a shot and it worked. They end up in the pits of hell and when they have a look outside, an evil spirit pops up out of nowhere. The kids hide in fear but are luckily saved by their dad just in time. That night at dinner their father seems to be mad at them for disobeying his orders, but their adorable faces make him forget everything soon after. The kids love their father and hate the idea of a stepmom since they think that they'd be replaced. That night Bobo has a terrifying nightmare about a witch who claims to have finally found him. The next morning, when the kids get ready for school, we are introduced to Diana, a beautiful woman who has recently moved into the building. The kids don't seem to like her very much because they think that she's a witch who escaped from the pits of hell last night. Unfortunately for them, men being men, their father seems to have taken a liking to her. That evening, the kids return back from school and catch their father in bed with the same woman. Bobo warns his father, but he just ignores the little boy, as he's already been charmed by the witch. Diana soon becomes a part of the family and marries Bobo's father, but Bobo still believes that she is a witch. A witch only performs her evil deeds at night and that's exactly when Diana used to leave the house. One night Bobo follows her and sees that the witch has transformed into a lizard. The next morning, their neighbor, who's mentally ill is shocked looking at Diana, and claims that her name is Lisa Dutt who was given the death sentence for murdering a child. Everybody dismisses this as the nurse claims that the man speaks rubbish at times. The next day, when Bobo returns back from school, the old man seems to have passed away. Bobo runs home and a lizard jumps on his head causing him to freak out. He lashes out at Diana claiming that she killed the old man. Bobo is then taken to a psychiatrist who tells them that this is very common with young kids when somebody replaces a loved one. Misha on the other hand, seems to have taken a liking to her new stepmom and they both play together and bond. As months go by, Bobo doubts whether everything he saw was just a figment of his imagination and decides to give Diana a chance. On Diana's birthday, during the night of the red moon, she convinces the kids to a game of hide and seek, in an attempt to sacrifice Misha in order to restore her dark powers. Bobo helps his sister hide in a treasure chest while he hides in a nearby closet. As she begins to look for the kids, Bobo peeks through his hideout to see what she's doing. Bobo goes to check up on his sister and starts to panic, which brings his father to the door. Bobo's father knocks down the door only to find Misha lifeless in the trunk and a now undisguised Diana hovering over her body. Enraged, Bobo's father attempts to choke Diana, but in vain. The now rejuvenated Diana kills him with her ear-piercing sonic screams. Diana moves to the window to perform the rest of the ritual, but the distraught Bobo remembers what he read in the book, so he finds his father's dagger and cuts off Diana's hair, destroying her source of power. A shocked Diana begins to crumble into dust, but not before revealing that everything she did for him, and promises to return back for Bobo. Dr. Pallet dismisses Bobo's visions as just fantasy and convinces Bobo to do the same. At the restaurant, Bobo can't seem to get his mind off of a woman's ponytail and has an outburst trying to cut it off with a knife. He is knocked unconscious and taken to the hospital, where Tamara learns about his hallucinations. He convinces Tamara that it's no big deal and that he'd get over it, and finally asks her to marry him. Soon after, the happy couple get married and have a grand celebration with all their friends and family. His son Zubin also welcomes her with open arms. Everything goes well for a couple of weeks, and Bobo even gets back to his magic show. One evening during his performance, he calls to the stage a beautiful woman from the crowd who introduces herself as Lisa Dutt. Bobo has flashbacks of the time when he was a kid and thinks that Diana is back in the form of Lisa Dutt. He pushes through and turns the woman into a cloud of smoke, astonishing the audience. After the performance, Bobo searches for Lisa Dutt and finds out that 30 years ago a woman by that name was actually hanged for the murder of a young child. That night Bobo starts having nightmares again, but pushes it down, thinking he won't be meeting the woman ever again. The next morning, when he goes to his old apartment, he spots Lisa walking around in there. He gets mad at her at first, but soon realizes that his wife called her over as she's looking to buy a house close to her school where she works as a teacher. He grows more suspicious of her, but his wife convinces him to sell the house to her, and they finally sign the papers. A few weeks go by and Bobo and Tamara are called over for Lisa's housewarming. They all drink and dance together and have a merry time until Tamara falls off the balcony. A critical Tamara is rushed to the hospital. Luckily, Tamara makes it and claims that somebody pushed her off the balcony. Bobo promises her it's going to be all right and never leaves her side. A few days later, Lisa comes to visit Tamara. As she tries to unhook Tamara's IV bag, Bobo walks in and questions her in a fury. She claims that all she was trying to do is unhook the IV bag as it's empty. But the now aggressive Bobo tells her to get out. Afraid for his family, he calls Dr. Pallet, who agrees to help investigate further because all this just doesn't sound like some coincidence. Dr. Pallet finds Bobo's old book where he finds some very dark secrets and calls Bobo, telling him that he was right all along, and asks him to come over as soon as possible. In the meantime, the witch in the form of Diana appears at Dr. Pallet's clinic and kills him. As Bobo reaches the doctor's place, he finds him dead and sees the eerie lizard lurking about. He finds a paper clutched in Dr. Pallet's hand, on which Zubin's name is scribbled. Bobo panics and rushes to the exhibition where Zubin is supposed to be, only to find him missing. Not knowing what to do, he goes back to his old home to look for Zubin, but finds it empty as well. He finds the old book and decides to jump into the elevator and descends into the pits of hell to find his son. There, he finds Zubin lying on a sacrificial altar and the witch ready to sacrifice his son's life to sustain her powers. Bobo tries to save Zubin, when he encounters Tamara. To his surprise, Tamara is the witch, not Lisa. Diana then appears and tells him that he himself is a warlock. Tamara explains further by saying that no one could merely push buttons in an elevator and find hell. The fact that he is present with them is the evidence of him being a warlock. He tries to fight her, but she is enraged and tells Bobo that it took her 20 years to be reborn and she won't let him kill her again. She knocks Bobo unconscious. When he gets back to his senses, he recalls the book about black magic and realizes that a warlock, good or bad, can regain his strength as it is the night of the red moon. With his acquired powers, he fights Tamara and supposedly kills her. Soon after that, he returns his powers back to Satan. As he picks up Zubin, the witch now appearing as Diana reveals that only the pure and innocent can kill a witch, and since Bobo killed her once before as a kid, he is no longer innocent. Angry that Bobo denied Satan's gift, Diana attacks him with her hair since it is the origin of her strength. Diana wraps her hair tightly around Bobo's neck to destroy his life force. Powerless, he tries to fight with her only to be flung around. Bobo grabs onto a pillar and an amused Diana once again immobilizes him with her high-pitched sonic screeches, but Bobo kicks the sacrificial dagger to the now conscious Zubin, and Bobo twists Diana and wraps her own hair on her mouth to stop the sound reaching Zubin's ears. Zubin eventually cuts off Diana's hair, but the crumbling Diana once again promises that she will come back. In the end, Zubin asks him whether everything that happened was magic or witchcraft. Bobo tells him that everyone has a little of both good and bad, but they themselves have to choose which side they're on. Bobo meets Lisa at the cafe and she asks him why he was so aggressive towards her initially. The screen fades to black as Bobo says, "I thought you were a witch." That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.